Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. So today I am finally doing my Foundation Friday Roundup. I'm going to bring you all of the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm probably not going to talk about every single foundation that I tried because this video would probably be like 5 hours long. But I'm just going to go ahead and mention the ones that I thought were the absolute best. Then I'm going to go ahead and talk about the ones where I'm just kind of like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how these made it to shelves. I'm not really sure. Just the ones that did not work for me. Of course, I'm going to put that a little disclaimer out there. Everybody has different skin, everybody has different skin types, and everybody is looking for different things when it comes to foundations. And I think that foundations are a very, very personal makeup item. So just because it did not work for me or just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it can't necessarily work for you. So if I kind of say something negative about a foundation that you absolutely love, that's okay because everybody likes different things, you guys. So yeah, so this was just a fun series that I wanted to do so I could test out foundation, so I could try to find the best thing for my skin type. You know, I struggle with acne, I struggle with dry skin, I struggle with sometimes combination skin. So it's just been a really, really fun way for me just to venture out, try a bunch of new products for you guys, give you guys my first impressions, my review and my opinion based solely on first impressions and one day of wear. That's what Foundation Friday stems from. And today I'm going to come back on and we're going to talk about all of the a lot of the foundations that I have tried out. So at this point, these are foundations that I have tested out more than once because so that way I can come back on and let you guys know what I definitively think about a lot of these products. Because Foundation Friday, they are first impressions, so there are times when I love a foundation and then the very next time I wear it, I hate it. Or, you know, you just have to play with things until you kind of figure out how they work with different primers, different brushes, different tools. So just because I loved it the first time doesn't mean that I'm going to love it overall, or just because I hated it the first time doesn't mean that I still hate it. So yeah, you guys, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the video. If you are not new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will have my Foundation Friday playlist linked down below. So if you guys want to check them out, see how any of these foundations wear throughout the day, then you can go ahead and click that link down below. Also, if you're new to my channel, I do have my 10,000 subscriber giveaway running, so that link will be down below as well. If you are not new to my channel, welcome back, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know some of you guys really, really love Foundation Friday, so I really wanted to go ahead and start filming them again because I haven't filmed them in over a month because I really wanted to test out a lot of these foundations more than once and to get my final thoughts. And so yeah, so after this week, we will start getting new foundations up, new foundations tested. So yeah, you guys, let's just go ahead and get into my final thoughts on some of these foundations. So most people like to start out on like positive vibes and kind of say the good before they get into the bad. Not me. I want to be a negative Nancy. So we're going to talk about the foundation that I liked the absolute least. I just didn't like it. If you saw that video, I was so disappointed. I was so like, what is going on here? Why does this foundation, why is this even a thing? And I know that a lot of people like this foundation. I've watched other people's reviews, and at first a lot of people's initial reactions are this foundation is not very good, but then after they apply it, wear it a little bit longer, a lot of people tend to really like it. I am not one of those people. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And that is the NYX Total Control, the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. This foundation just did not work for me. It lifted off of my skin. It did not provide enough of coverage. I had to apply about 37 drops on one half of my face just to kind of even get it to work. It was just, I just did not like it. And it is a foundation that does have a little bit of a liquidy consistency. And they did recommend that you buy the brush to use with it. And I noticed that some people who did really like it did actually buy the brush and use it with the brush. I was not about that life, didn't want to do it. So I don't know, it just did not sit well on my skin. It did not blend well into my skin. It just didn't work for me. The only reason, you guys, that I have not returned this foundation is because I spilt it on my desk and a lot of it ended up falling out. And I'm not going to go try to return something that I used several, you know, that it looks like I used about 25 times. I'm not going to be that person. So unfortunately I am going to keep it because I don't know, but I don't know. I just didn't like it. I felt like you had to use way too much product to even get it to work. And the more that I would try to put it on my face, the more that it would kind of like lift off of itself. And I couldn't get this foundation to blend into my skin nicely at all. So for me, this was a total miss, but I know a lot of people do really, really love it. So that's just, I guess that's just kind of the name of the game. This is not a foundation that I would recommend. This is not a foundation that I would repurchase. This is a foundation that just made me really, really sad, you guys. Like really sad. Okay, so the next foundation that I actually really love, and I was wearing it in my most recent video. Well, I don't know if it's my most recent video because at this point I've been filming videos and I have no idea what order they're going up in. But I want to say that I was wearing this in my April favorites video. This is the Dior Air Flash. And the Sephora one, I'm not exactly sure where that one is right now. I love both of these foundations equally. They just look beautiful on the skin, apply evenly on the skin. They apply effortlessly. They just make you just look so airbrushed. And both of them work. I like both of them like equally. If I had to pick, I would probably say the Dior one applies maybe like the hairest bit more coverage, but not enough for it to be like a buying decision. So the Sephora one, I don't know where it is. I used it recently and now I can't find it. But if you don't want to spend the hefty price tag on the Dior one, the Sephora one is definitely comparable. And it's a little less than half the price, I want to say. So you would get very similar results with both of these guys. This is a foundation that my graduation is May 13th. I don't think that this video will go up before May 13th. It might, but I will probably be wearing this foundation on that day because it just looks beautiful. It wears very nicely. It doesn't sink. Everything sinks into my fine lines by like the day's end. I've never met a foundation that doesn't sink somewhat into my fine lines, but this one does it minimally, and this one does it in a way that it doesn't look cakey. It doesn't make my skin look dry. So I just feel like it's definitely worth the price tag. I kind of think it's a foundation that I would really only reach for like on more special occasions. It's not a foundation that I'm going to be like, let me go to work and just kind of spray it all over my face. And I feel like that's my problem. Like when it gets into more heavier or more like foundations that have heftier price tags, it's not something that I want to wear every day because I don't want it to, you know, run out very quickly. But it just, every time I've ever worn this, it just looks really great. I've tried it with the beauty blender. I've tried it with the brush. I've never done the directly spray onto my face because I feel like that would be a disaster. My favorite way to use this is with the Sigma F80 flat top kabuki. I really like it with that brush. I think that brush really presses this foundation nicely into the skin. So I basically just spray it on that brush and then I just start applying it directly onto my face. This is one that was definitely worth it. This was one that has definitely been a standout for me. And I do recommend either, again, this one or the Sephora one. And in the Foundation Friday of that video, I did a side-by-side comparison of the two, so you could see how they wore on my face throughout the entire day, and they wore practically the same. So this one I believe is like $60, $62, something like that, and the Sephora one is like $28. So if you've always wanted to try this one, I say go for it, but you'll get similar results with either one of them. So another foundation that I just didn't like, and this is one of the ones that I have tried more recently, and I'm actually going to be returning this. I just found my receipt for it and realized that I've had it for like over 2 months, so hopefully they let me return it. But it is the Pure Bare It All 12-Hour 4-in-1 Skin Perfecting Foundation. And this foundation just, it felt heavy. It did not sink into my skin. It accentuated every dry patch that I have on my skin. So if you have maybe more oily skin, this might have worked out a little bit better for you. But if you have dry skin, I just know. Like even if you exfoliate, even if you like, I exfoliate, I put on, if you guys have seen my like preparation, what I do before I put on foundation, just to make sure that I have the best base as humanly possible. I go in with my oils, I go in with my hydrating primer, my pore filling primer, I go in with sprays. I do everything humanly possible to make sure my skin is ready for foundation, to give it the truest test possible, because obviously I'm not going to just slap on a foundation when my skin is very dry, because that's not going to be an accurate representation of the foundation. But this foundation, and my skin has been leaning a little more oily lately. It's still dry. I still have dry patches, so it's more combo. But this foundation found every single dry patch that was on my face. It did not, like on my chin, it did not settle. It started to break apart. I only tried this foundation twice because the second time I was just like, I had the exact same results and I was like, I don't need to try it again. The foundations that I tried 4, 5, 6, several times were foundations that I just couldn't make up my mind on whether I liked them or not. But I knew off the bat that I did not like this foundation. I gave it a second try just to make sure, and I had the exact same results. It looked very cakey. It sank into my fine lines. It separated along my cheeks, along my chin. It kind of did not settle nicely around my nose, and it didn't work for me. So I still feel the same way about this foundation as I did in my Foundation Friday. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. A foundation that I do like and I have been reaching for a lot the last month or so, and not even just because I wanted to get like my final thoughts on it, that is the Natasha Denona Foundation X. And I have mine in the shade 20 Light Beige. I ordered this foundation the second that it came out on Sephora's website, the actual day, and I could not wait to try it out. So this foundation does provide, I would say that it's not like full coverage the way that, say, the Urban Decay All Nighter is, or the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. I don't feel like it's that type of full coverage. I do think it's definitely full coverage. It definitely can cover everything out. It will cancel everything out for you, but it doesn't look like overly heavy on the skin. The more I wear this foundation, the more I like it. It lasts a really good time on the skin. It covers everything, but it doesn't look like a full-on like mask. Sometimes when I wear like my Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation, which I really do like, sometimes I feel like it just looks so heavy on the skin, and a lot of times I'll mix that foundation in with something else because it can be a little much. This foundation, I feel like I don't have that particular issue with it. I wear it all day. It gets super hot here in Texas. It's super humid, and I don't notice that it breaks apart on me throughout the day. I notice that it just really lasts all day. It wears off. It does wear off, but I feel like it wears off in a way that's not ugly, because there are foundations where you'll, like, as it wears off, you'll notice that pieces of your skin are just missing. Well, not pieces of your skin, but pieces of the foundation are just like gone. This foundation does not do that. It holds up. It holds up in heat very well, and I was just really pleasantly surprised. I want to say that I don't think it had a really good color selection when I first purchased it. I haven't gone on Sephora's website or Beautylish or wherever else it's sold to see if they've expanded the color range since I first tried it. I feel like this foundation is not really like, it's not really a matte foundation. I feel like it's more of like a satin finish foundation. This is a foundation that will work for dry skin. This is a foundation that will, I think, oily skin can wear it. I think that this is a foundation that could be universally flattering on all different skin types. It just looks really nice, and I think that this is also a foundation that a mature skin could wear as well. So I like it. I have been reaching for it, like I said, a lot over the last couple of months, or not a couple of months, over the last month or so since I purchased it. And this has been one of my standout products. Okay, where is that other foundation? Okay, so this is a foundation that I want to talk about next, because this is one foundation that I'm still so unsure about. Like, I thought that when I first tried it, I did not like it. I was kind of indifferent about it. And then the more I wear it, the more I fell in love with it. But then the last like 2 or 3 times I've worn it, it has not looked good on my skin. So I don't know. Like, this is the one foundation that I cannot make my mind up about. And it is probably, out of all of the foundations that I'm going to talk about today, it is probably one of the ones that I have reached for and worn the most. It is the Fiona Styles Luminous Finish Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 03. And so I think what I've realized is because I couldn't figure it out, because there would be days where this foundation just looked so flawless on my skin, and I was like, what was I thinking when I said that I didn't like it or I didn't care for it? Like, oh my God, I love it so much. And this foundation is a lot of the reason why I had wanted to do the Foundation Friday Roundup, because my opinion on it had really changed. And I think what it is I prefer this foundation with a brush. I think I've kind of realized it because the couple of times, because I have been, you guys know that I've always been a foundation brush girl. Like, I like to apply my foundation with brushes, but lately I have really been into using beauty blenders. And I noticed that the last couple of times I've worn this foundation, I've used a beauty blender and I didn't like it. So I think that this foundation might just be better with a brush. I mean, I even repurchased this foundation. Because I'm only going to repurchase something that I absolutely really enjoy. So I repurchased it, and then literally and then I talked about how much I liked it, loved it, and how much my opinion about it had changed in my Ulta 21 Days of Beauty haul. And then I wore it like the next day and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. So it's one of those foundations. I think that this is one of those foundations that is a little bit more picky, in the sense of you have to apply it with the right tools. You have to apply it with the right foundations, or at least for it to work on my skin. So I feel like it is a little bit more of a high maintenance foundation for me. But when I apply it the right way, and I use the right tools, and I use the right primers, it looks absolutely freaking amazing on my skin. So that's the only downside to this foundation. That's why I've always been like on the fence about whether I love it or not. I think that this is just a foundation. I wear it practically every single day to work. It had been my work foundation for such a long time. And so I know that I love it. I just don't love the fact that I have to try a little bit harder to make it work, but I guess it's worth it because it just looks beautiful on my skin. It just looks natural. It does give me that nice luminosity. What foundation am I wearing today? I was going to tell you, oh, I never did the Foundation Friday on this particular foundation that I'm wearing today, but I do love that foundation. So I will continue to wear it. I think it's one of the foundations that I do absolutely wear the most. I prefer it with more lightweight concealers than with the Tarte Shape Tape. So I think that it was just a lot of trial and error to make this foundation work for me, because I do prefer this foundation also with the Naked Skin concealer versus the Tarte Shape Tape, because I feel like the Tarte Shape Tape is just a little too full coverage for this particular foundation. But it is one of my favorites. It's just annoying how I have to use it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like that though. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices to get things to work beautifully for you. This next one is more of a what was I thinking? Why did I give this foundation a good review? I don't even know. This is another one where my opinion has drastically changed, because I'm pretty sure I should have gone back and rewatched all of my gosh darn Foundation Fridays. I totally didn't, but I'm pretty sure that I said that I like this foundation. I don't. I do not like it. I don't know if it was just, I don't know. I don't like it. This is the Anastasia foundation stick, and I picked mine up in the shade beige. Now, this came out around the same time, I feel like, as the Hourglass Vanish stick, which you guys know I live, I breathe, I die for. So, but I don't think I did a Foundation Friday on that particular one, but you guys already know that I love it because it was in my 2016 favorite. So there's no need to mention it again, even though I'm totally mentioning it right now. Okay, so when I wore this foundation again, and I wore it sometime last week, I tested it out again, it made my skin itch. And it was the most uncomfortable experiences that I've ever had. The only other foundation that I've had like that severe of an issue with was the Derma Blend foundation, I think it was. I wore it to work, so I had it on for like a full 9 hours, and by hour 2 my skin was so uncomfortable. Like wanted to like wash my entire face off because my skin was itching so badly. And I think it's just because it's too drying on my skin. It's too matte for my skin. So I was very, very uncomfortable while I had this foundation on. And it doesn't blend. I don't know. You know, in my original video, I was like, it blends okay. Like, it's not the best, but no, it does not blend that well whatsoever. It kind of tugs at the skin a little bit, and it's just so dry. I was so excited about this foundation because it was 25 bucks, you know, very reasonably priced, especially for a higher end foundation. And I don't like it, you guys. My opinion, this is one foundation where my opinion has completely 180 changed. I don't like it. I don't care for it. I wish I had tried it several more times. Like, I wish I had tried it 2 or 3 more times when I first got it, because I would have returned it. Like, I would have returned it a long time ago. Now I'm kind of stuck with it. But that's how I should have known that I didn't like it after that video, because I never, ever, ever reached for it after I filmed the video that I originally did with this foundation. I don't know if it was a Foundation Friday or a full face of first impressions, but I never reached for it again. And I tried this foundation months and months and months ago. So I should have known. But like, when I say that my skin was so uncomfortable and so itchy, that was the deal breaker for me. I'm not gonna wear, it's okay, I'll wear something that will make me look oily, that will make me look shiny, that, you know, will break apart and give me like a bad makeup day. That's fine, that it happens. That's the only way that you're gonna know and test things out, and you'll play with things to kind of figure out if maybe different primers, different powders will work. I am not gonna wear something on my face and test something out that makes my face itch and uncomfortable. So, and I had that reaction with this foundation, and I tried it 2 more times since the original Foundation Friday, and both times my skin got really, really itchy. And I used primers. Whenever I went back and retried all of these foundations, I didn't try new primers. I used my holy grail primers that I know work for me and that I never have problems with. And I don't like it. I don't like it. So no. A foundation that, oh, let me talk about, okay. I'm going to talk about this one. No. Okay, let me talk about this one. So this is a drugstore foundation that I really, really, really do really like. This is the LA Girl Pro Coverage HD High Definition Foundation. This thing is 10 bucks, and I picked mine up from Ulta, and this foundation held up. Oh my gosh, this foundation holds up so well. The first time I tried this, it was during a day where me and my mom were running errands. I was hot, I was sweaty, and this foundation, even though at the end of the day it didn't look the best in that particular video, I put it through a more rigorous test than any of these other foundations that I have ever tried on a Foundation Friday, and I was impressed by the longevity of the foundation. And I have worn it so many times since, and it still impresses me. I still like it. I recommend it. The downside is it is way too yellow for my skin. So every time I put it on, even though, and I still wear it, but I have to bring it all the way down my neck practically to kind of get it to work for me because it is very, very, very yellow. So I ordered mine from Ulta, and I know Ulta does not have as large of a selection as if you were to purchase this from the LA Girl website, but Ulta, obviously you get your points, and I want my points, so I didn't want to purchase it off of LA Girl's website. I like it so much that I do want to find a foundation shade that works better for me. I don't know if I just picked up one that is just yellow based and that's why, or if these foundations just particularly run very yellow. But if you have not tried this foundation, it performs like a high-end foundation. I'm not even kidding. It really, really, really does. And for $10, you cannot beat it. I've worn it, oh my gosh, I want to say after that video, the Foundation Friday video, I want to say that I wore this foundation every day for like a week straight. So impressed by this foundation. I really like it. I highly recommend it. And I definitely think that it is one that is worth checking out. So because I probably have more foundations that I like than I don't like, I'm going to go ahead and talk about another foundation that I actually really do like. And it is definitely, I want to say that this is probably the most expensive foundation that I'm going to talk about today. This is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Foundation. This foundation is so beautiful on the skin. I don't think it's like a full-on matte. I think it's like one of those suck the life out of you, just make you look like you're dead. And you know, I don't think it's one of those because like types of matte foundations. This is a matte foundation that I feel like a dry skin person could wear. Now, and one way, oh, and let me tell you guys, I did mix this in with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, and I love the way that it looked. So those two paired together work really well. I personally do like this one more than the Luminous Silk for the simple fact that it provides more coverage. So if the Luminous Silk provided a little bit more coverage, I would probably like that one more because I do have a little bit more dry skin. But I think that this one is worth the money, where I've always said that the Luminous Silk is good, but I don't know that it's necessarily worth the hefty price tag. I actually do think that this one is worth the money. So I tried this foundation, and I've tried this foundation with a brush. I've tried it with beauty blenders, and those are pretty much the only ways that I wear foundation. But I think that this foundation works both ways. You get very beautiful application whether you use a brush or a beauty blender. And I like that. I feel like this foundation is easy to blend into the skin. I picked mine up in the shade 3.5, and it does last a pretty decent amount of time on the skin. I've probably at this point worn this foundation, because again, I don't like reaching for like my expensive foundations a lot because it kind of, you know, makes me like freak out a little bit. But I've worn this probably about 5 times, and every single time, every single primer, every single setting spray, every single powder, concealer, everything that I've ever tried this with, it works. There are certain foundations that I don't like with certain concealers or certain powders or certain, you know, tools, and I have to wear them specific ways to get the best application. My nose is itching to get the best application, but I feel like this is one of the foundations that I have that no matter how I wear it, no matter how I apply it, it works really, really well. I wouldn't say that it's like full, wholly, like in your face, like full coverage. I would say that it's more of like a heavy medium than a true full, but it definitely leans like if you didn't have as much stuff to cover up as I do, it would be 100% a full coverage foundation for you. But for me, it's more of a, oh, you're teetering on the verge of being like awesome full coverage, but you're not quite there yet. Another foundation that I do not like. This is the Laura Geller Cream Foundation in the shade Light. This is the Cover Lock Foundation, and I don't like this one either. I don't like this one for similar reasons to why I don't like the, I already forgot what it's called. What foundation were you? The Pure Foundation. I have similar feelings about this foundation that I do to that one. It just applies a little too, why am I itching? Why is my nose itching so much? Oh my gosh. It just applies just a little, like throughout the day, it just gets a little bit too cakey for me, and it breaks up just a little bit too much for me. And I don't want to kind of sound repetitive. So basically I don't like this one for the exact same reasons that I don't like that one. This is another one. You can see I have the box for it. I feel like I've had it too long to be able to return it, but if I could return it, I would, but I don't think that I have that option. So it is what it is. All right, so we are gonna end on a high note. You know, it's okay to be negative Nancy to start, but you wanna leave people feeling all good and warm and fuzzy and positive on the way out. You know what I mean? So this is another drugstore foundation, and this foundation really, it really makes me believe in the drugstore. You know, sometimes with the drugstore, I'm kind of like, what are y'all doing? What is happening? But the drugstore is stepping their game up. I mean, some of the foundations that I was the most impressed by, and I am not talking about every single foundation, you guys, because we would be here all day if I did talk about every foundation that I've tried out. But this foundation, and technically I did not try this one in a Foundation Friday, I tried this one in a Full Face to First Impressions, but I was so impressed by this foundation. The coverage, the blendability, the way it wore, the way it lasted on the skin. Just everything about this foundation I really liked. This is another drugstore foundation that performs like a high-end foundation. It's a little bit more expensive than the LA Girl foundation, but it is still, in my opinion, worth the money. But this foundation is full coverage. The first time I put this on my cheeks, I was amazed that this was a drugstore product. Like, it was just so good. And it just lasted on the skin so well. It was actually a pretty good color match for my skin. Drugstore foundations a lot of times don't really work, as far as the color, don't really work that well on my skin, because I do have a lot of pink to my skin, but then I also have some yellow. So I tend to get color matched to pinker tone foundations, but now I just prefer more neutral because I think that neutral is just better for me. And this foundation, everything about this foundation is so good. I really like it, you guys. Cushion foundations, I just think that they're easy to work with, they're easy to blend, they're easy to use. I like cushion foundations as a whole, and this foundation just, you guys could just see my expression in that video where I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is a full coverage foundation, but it's a full coverage foundation to me that does not get cakey, that does not look heavy, that does not break apart, that did not separate, that just, it just really works on the skin. And I was so impressed, so pleased. I think that this is one that you should check out. This is I got mine in the shade Classic Ivory number 20. And again, this is the Maybelline Dream Cushion Foundation. I feel like if you were like me and one of those people who we're kind of like scared of the drugstore because the drugstore, you know, has kind of let you down a few times in your life, I feel like the drugstore is stepping it up completely. And yeah, you guys, that is my Foundation Friday rundown. I know that there are several foundations that I left out of this video because there are some foundations that you guys just know that I'm obsessed with and know that I love because I've talked about them so many times on my channel. I didn't feel the need to kind of like bring them up again. And then there's foundations that I didn't dislike and I didn't like love, so it was no point, that was just kind of like middle of the road. So I really just wanted to talk about the ones that I did not like at all, and then the ones that I really liked. So I kind of left the middle of the road ones out. But yeah, you guys, so I'm super excited to start round 2 of Foundation Friday. So that will be going in 2 weeks because this video will go up next Friday, which I think is the 12th. May 12th, and then the following week we'll start getting new foundations rolling. And I definitely picked up quite a few from Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty. I definitely did pick up some from the Sephora VIB Rouge sale. So I'm locked, loaded, ready to go. Any foundations that you would be interested in me trying, leave those down below. I am on a low buy, but for Foundation Friday, I am allowing myself to buy foundations because that's an important thing, my Foundation Fridays. So yeah, you guys, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe before you head out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.